listening appointment and you were dressed offensively and you were dealing with Mr. and Mrs. S, you're done. You might as well not even pull out your presentation, you might as well just go home, because they're gonna be offended by that, all right? So again, it's about building the relationship, it's about being reserved, it's about being cautious, and S will listen more than they tell, okay? A D will tell more than they listen, because they don't care. It's all about me talking and me delegating and me being in control, okay? So with the C's and the S's, again, it's, you wanna be a little bit, C's are real competitive, but not competitive in that sense of like a D is competitive, they gotta win. A C is competitive in the fact that you need to be accurate and play by the rules. If you cheat, even at a card game, they drive them crazy because they don't like that. It's not fair, okay? There's rules for a reason, and rules aren't meant to be broken, whereas D's and I's, we don't like to break the rules. Okay? We like to live by the edge of it and kind of fly by the seat of our pants and be a little spontaneous. So, any questions so far? Any comments? Yes, Marcy.
I have a question. So if you ask in a situation, worst case scenario, would that be more the director, or would that be?
So role play with me with the question, if you can come up
Well,
with a question.
It has to do with real estate. One time we were in the process of buying a house, and it was a contingency on a contingency on a, and I said, so worst case scenario, if the first contingency falls through, then it'll all snowball, and we won't get past, oh, that'll never happen. But in my mind, I kind of just wanted to know mentally what the worst case scenario was, and it ended up happening.
I really think that that could be any one of them.
It could, okay.
I think if you were a D, you may say something like, well, what's the bottom line here? Maybe a little bit more forceful and to the point.
Okay.
Worst case scenario, I'm thinking more of like an S personality a little bit, because worst case scenario is a little bit more of a soft approach, you know? And I don't know what how an I might not even care about those details, because they're too busy thinking about moving into the house to stop and think about that.
Okay.
But the C may say something like that too. C's probably gonna ask a little bit more pointed and direct question about those details. They're gonna have already thought it through 3 steps. So I'm kind of thinking maybe on that particular question, I think it may be an S. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
What about the answer, the person that answered the question? Because she was the one that asked the question, so
I would
the
think,
realtor that said, oh, that's never gonna happen, kind of.
Yeah, don't worry,
I
she
said,
brushed it
yeah.
off, oh, that's never gonna happen, and I said, well, but just in case, mentally, I kind of wanted to know, and it did happen, which I thought was really ironic.
well, I would think that person wasn't really a good realtor to begin with. I'm not supposed to say that, but I think that's rude. I mean, it's rude as a professional to just brush somebody off. I mean, just to say, oh, well, John, your worries, they're not important.
Yeah,
And that is just rude.
I thought
So,
it kind of was too.
I mean, you could
but-
possibly be a D personality, because they just don't have the time to take to answer that question. They
Right.
think you're being silly because they just want to close the deal and be done with it.
Sure.
So if I had to choose one, I'd probably say it was a D personality. So, thank you. Glenn, your question?
Yes, how would someone react, such as someone in your case, because I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at an I and S and thinking, oh my gosh, look at D and C, because, you know, when I'm finance-wise, my first question is, what's the bottom line?
Right.
Now, but I also, looking at the C, I wear jeans to work quite a bit, and they're pressed. I don't wear jeans to work unless they're pressed.
That's a C
I mean,
personality.
I'll go up there, but then I'm looking at IS, how do you, I imagine it's extremely difficult for someone in a realtor to deal with, because someone like me that can do all 4.
Mhm. So you are a chameleon.
I'm screwed up is what I'm looking at all of these and I'm saying, my gosh, like I said, I imagine it's extremely difficult for someone to relate to someone like that at times. Have to really be on their toes.
I would guess they probably need to be on your toes. So what I would suggest to you, Glenn, in answering your question is to take the personality test. If you've taken it before, take it again. And then that way you can, now that you've taken the class and you kind of understand a little bit more of it, and you can start to identify, you're going to leak who you are. So,
But Josh and I took the test at the same time, and I don't remember what the results were, I think. But I was all over the place, and I still am. But I would like to take the test.
okay, great. We'll see me afterwards. We'll definitely get that going for you. Any other questions? Yes, Joshua.
I don't have necessarily a question, but I have a statement, and
Okay.
like I said, I'm the high D. And I'm a bill collector, so I deal with a lot of different people with a lot of these different personalities. And by knowing what their personality is, I can change to meet them. So if I talk to someone who is an I know that I'm gonna have to relate to them. And I'm gonna have to, even if their scenario that the reason their bill is behind is something that I've never encountered, I can always say, well, I understand exactly that happened to me last year, by the way. And then I can get back to them. If it's someone with a supporter, they wanna know, well, let's work together to make that payment arrangement. So I know that I have to deal with that. So, like you said, someone who can go all over the place, you know, that's good actually, because then you can deal with everybody that comes along.
That's an excellent observation. I think that's very true, especially, you know, in any line of work that you're in, being able to adapt and overcome is great, because you're building that relationship with that person.
You're gonna have to be extremely quick and extremely, what's the word I'm looking for, aware of what's going on, because he's talking with people on the phone, you're probably talking
Yeah.
about 5, 10 minutes maybe, and you've got to develop what kind of personality they
Yeah,
have.
but if you're going through your spiel and you're getting, you know, I'm calling because of this and that and the other thing, but then the person says, well, what are you calling for? What do you want? Well, then I know I've got my D right there. Well, I want your $100 and I want it now. This is how we're gonna do it, and so on, we're done. The thinker may say, well, what's my interest rate? They have bombarded with questions and never ever make a payment, but, you know, they want to know the interest rate, they want to know what they paid last month, they want to know, you know, when's the card gonna expire, and so you have to kind of say, well, you know, I can answer all those questions, but let's focus on the payment, let's focus on
But
what you're
what I'm saying is that the person that initiates it's gonna have to be extremely sensitive and aware.
Yes, you have to practice this every day.
I would
You
imagine
can't-
so, because I imagine you can be extremely difficult, and if you're not sensitive and aware, you could really screw something up.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, I had 12 years real estate. Every sale I ever lost was a C personality because I was too busy doing whatever to pay attention to the details the clues that they were giving me. Because like you said, as soon as he's on the phone, you guys are making any kind of sales calls, you know. The person says, what do you want? I'm too busy. What's the bottom line? Okay, or the person says, hey, how are you doing? How's your day? What's going on? You know, they might actually try to engage with you. You can pick up people's voicemails too, you guys. If you get the person's voicemail that's still the automated cell phone voicemail, might be a D because they just haven't had time to do it and they don't really care. You know what I mean? It's not important to them, okay? You get the guy that's got the music playing in the background for like the first 5 seconds and you're going, really? Why do I have to listen to this? Can I just press pound to bypass or something? And they're singing and everything's happy and hey, it's a great day, what's going on? Leave me a message, I'll call you back. What do you think you got there? Okay, probably
High pressure salesman.
probably gonna have an I personality, right? Do you agree with me? If you got the person that says, thank you for calling, this is Sarah. It's a beautiful day outside. I really appreciate your phone call. I'm so terribly sorry that I missed it. Will you please leave me a message and be sure to leave the time and where I can best call you back at. God bless. Have a great day. What do you think? I'm probably dealing with an S personality, right? Okay. So those are some ways that you can pick up on too. The other thing, if you go into someone's home, you walk in and you see a wall of fame, okay? That's gonna be probably your I personality, depending on what kind of wall of fame it is. If it's all their children's pictures from the time that they were born up until they graduated or got married, it might be an S, okay? And I've been in those houses where you're going, wow, how am I gonna gently tell this person they need to take down that wall of fame? You know what I mean? Because that's really important to them. So, but you can also tell someone you walk in and they got tons of pictures of them on cruises and parties and, you know, they got the Mexican cantina in the backyard, you know, and they're saying, hey, let's do a listing presentation outside. I got Jimmy Buffett playing and some margaritas going. All right? You may be dealing with an I personality there. Because again, it's all about fun. It's all about having a good time, okay? And if you come in and the S has got a tea made for you and they have cookies, and they want you to sit down and let's sit next to each other on the couch. Anyway, again, building relationships. It's about that connection that they share with you. A lot of times you go to a party and you might see someone sitting real close to each other and they're just having their own little conversation. Because again, that's what's important to them. Has anybody ever experienced something like that? Can you relate to that? Yeah. All right, great. Like I said, my closets are terrible. If I open, you know, and it's a great excuse when you walk in a house because you